This is ABC7 News at 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
They affect you immediately, they affect you directly, and they affect you exponentially more than the presidential elections because these things are happening right in your backyard.
Voters are making their picks for who they want to craft the future of the Suncoast. Tonight, we're breaking down the results of city commission races from Northport to Longboat Key, along with 2 referendums which were trounced. How does turnout figure into the equation? We'll take a look. Good evening, I'm Haley Wilgus. Alan is off tonight. Our analysis of the municipal elections is coming up, but first, our top 7 stories at 7. We begin on Longboat Key, where last night voters overwhelmingly voted against a density request to add 108 additional units to the Colony Resort. Unicor, the Orlando-based company redeveloping the resort, is releasing a new plan, which includes fewer rooms and units. Voters on Longboat Key say they aren't opposed to renovating the dilapidated property. They just don't want more traffic on the island.
It's gotten a lot worse. I've been coming down here for 20 years, and it's really, for me and my family, we're questioning even being on Longboat Key because of this.
We live mid-Key, and we went to Sarasota. It took over an hour in traffic, so that's just too much.
The density referendum only received 13% support. Unicor says it plans to have the new resort up and running on the property by 2019. We're learning more tonight about an issue that could have compromised the deal to bring the Atlanta Braves spring training to Northport. In an email to Sarasota County Commissioners last week, West Village's General Manager Marty Black says he could not assure the Braves there was a commitment to economic growth in South County. Black's concerns stem from comments allegedly made by the head of the Economic Development Corporation, Mark Hay, saying Sarasota could face consequences for keeping a national roofing company out of the area. Black says those comments came at an inopportune time.
We're in the midst of negotiations with the Atlanta Braves at that point in time. The last thing we wanted was, somehow negative press about the fact that the county might not be a place to do business.
Despite concerns, the Braves signed onto a 30-year deal with Sarasota County. New developments for a group of Bayshore High alumni hoping to find what is causing a cancer cluster, or what they say is a cancer cluster among them. Manatee School Board is partnering with the County Commission to retest soil from the campus. Several former students from the 70s, 80s, and 90s claim diesel fuel tanks buried on the property may have contaminated groundwater and soil. Tests performed in the past found no trace of contaminants. A follow-up in the case of a Manatee County couple convicted for fraud and animal abuse. Today, the 2nd District Court of Appeals upheld the convictions against Alan Napier. Napier and his wife Cherie were convicted on 8 counts of scheming to defraud and aggravated animal abuse in 2015. They were arrested following a raid on their animal sanctuary, where nearly 300 animals were found living in poor conditions. An update on the 5 tightrope walkers injured in a Circus Sarasota rehearsal last month are now reaching out to the community to help get them back on their feet and under the big top once again. Local businesses are helping raise money for Nick Wallenda, his family foundation. The nonprofit was restructured after several of the Wallenda family fell 28 feet in a high wire accident. Wallenda says it could still be up to 8 months before any of them are performing again, and he is asking for assistance.
There's so many unforeseen expenses related to this accident. There's a lot that the insurance, which is limited anyways, but the insurance doesn't cover. So because of that, we're trying to raise money to help those performers to get into a position where they won't have more stress than they already have on their lives.
Nick says they hope to raise $100,000 for the injured performers. The money will help with medical bills and lost income. The construction of a medical center in Newtown is moving right along, and tonight ABC7 got an exclusive look at the progress. A groundbreaking was held in November, and the facility is expected to be complete in less than 3 months. The Sarasota Memorial Internal Medicine Center will have 6,400 square feet, equipped with a dozen exam rooms. Some say the center is a major component to revitalizing the community.
For a long time, we have looked for methods and projects to improve this community, as the community leaders are aware of. And this is a big step forward in doing exactly that.
A community forum will be held in May to answer questions and explain to residents what services will be available at the facility. Temperatures are going to dip down into the 30s tonight, and Sarasota County is opening some shelters for that weather. People can seek refuge from the cold at the Salvation Army Center of Hope in Sarasota, Grace United Methodist Church in Venice, and New Hope Community Church in Northport. Emergency management officials recommend bringing pets inside, of course, and using caution when heating your home to avoid fires or carbon monoxide poisoning. Do not use propane or gas heaters inside, and keep electric space heaters clear of any obstructions. And for a check on that forecast, let's head over to Bob.
Well, this will go down as the 4th warmest winter on record here in Sarasota and Manatee counties. But tonight, you have to go all the way back to January 8th when the temperature got down into the mid to upper 30s. So it has been a warm winter. We're going to see temperatures similar like that tomorrow morning. When we wake up, we'll have a wind chill factor too in the low to mid 30s. Cold air for us. So we're under no advisories at this point. No freeze warning for us and no frost as well. There are freeze warnings in effect and north of the Tampa Bay area. To the south of us, there is a wind chill advisory. They'll have the wind chills a little longer in those areas to the south of us, so we won't see that problem here as much, but we will see the cold air to start things off. And as far as the forecast is concerned, we are anticipating, looks as though we will see a cool day again tomorrow, but as far as temperatures go tonight, it will get cold pretty quickly. In fact, we are looking at generally temperatures in the 40s by 11 o'clock. And with that wind out of the north at around 10 to 15 miles an hour, will make it feel even colder. Currently at the Sarasota Bradian Airport, we have a temperature of 52 right now. Sunshine, the dew point low 37. Winds are out of the north-northwest at 9, and the pressure 30-22. And that continues to rise at this time. Forecast winds are going to stay out of the north and northwest. Will become more northerly after midnight. That's when the temperatures will start to drop a little bit more so. But right now it's brisk. Anna Maria 18 miles an hour out of the west-northwest. Same in Venice and Minnesota Beach, 19 miles an hour, and 15 in Northport, making it feel all that much colder. So lows tonight, projected lows 35 in Port Charlotte, the same in Northport. Inglewood right around 36. Venice will be a few degrees warmer. Lakewood Ranch at 36. And Braden, you'll be at 40, a little bit warmer there because of the river, as well as Tampa Bay. With the wind out of the north, will keep things a bit warmer for those locations. Well, much more in our forecast. Let you know when things will start to warm back up soon.
All right. Thank you, Bob. And still to come, 2 referendums turned down, 2 new commissioners elected, and 2 runoffs set for May. We have the results of Sarasota's municipal elections and how many people actually voted. We'll show you why there was an exception to the typical turnout when we return.
The official Suncoast Storm team at ABC7. We're here for you.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. You'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information.
They had obviously researched every place, not just given me names. They found me a place for what she could afford, and it was magnificent.
We're now very confident that she's safe, and they just helped every step of the way, and I can't thank them enough.
So if you're struggling to find reliable senior living information, call A Place for Mom. This is a free service, and you can trust them to help you.
Call right now to get your free Senior Care Compass ebook. Find out about the 5 best-kept secrets on financing senior care and assisted living.
Call now, 800-290-0352. 800-290-0352.
If you've ever had a bad night's sleep, call and price the new Craftmatic Legacy. It has so much more than other adjustables and still costs up to 50% less. Featuring a rising adjustable pillow rest to support your head, neck, and shoulders, bedside power plugs, under-bed night lights, and more. So call and price one today for less, up to 50% less than Tempur-Pedic, Sleep Number, and other adjustables.
You get so much more and it still costs less. You gotta see how little they cost.
Call 1-800-774-8103. That's 1-800-774-8103. Call now.
Is your old garage door stuck or broken? Would a new one give you a lift? Let Precision Door Overhead Garage Door Service of Sarasota come to the rescue with prompt and affordable repair service. Replacement doors come with an array of styles and colors, and they are rated to meet and exceed Florida standards. From estimates to installation, your satisfaction is our priority. If you're not 100% satisfied with any product, service, or installation, we will make it right, because Precision Door Service is a name you can trust.
It's the season of savings right now during the spring clearance event at Sunset Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Sarasota. Come shop the Suncoast's largest selection of new Jeep Wranglers, or stop by today and drive away in a 2017 Jeep Cherokee for just $18,999. And for a limited time, get America's best value, a new Dodge Journey for as little as $16,599. Better prices, bigger selection. Go to Sunset Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Sarasota.
Sarasota County holds local elections in the spring. It's a double-edged sword. On one hand, it lets voters focus on the local candidates instead of those state or national races, but it also generates a fraction of the voter turnout. ABC7's Kate Flexter joins us with a look at the number of voters this time around. Kate.
Well, Haley, we normally have around 20% turnout for these spring elections, and this year was no different, with one exception.
It was all eyes on Sarasota's 2 at-large city commission seats, with 8 candidates all vying for the spots. Ultimately, 3 candidates advanced to a May runoff.
I think the takeaway here is that the youth vote carried. The 2 youngest candidates were the 2 top vote getters.
Vice Chairman of Sarasota's Democratic Party, Kevin Griffith, says incumbents tend not to do well in the city of Sarasota, voters often choosing new candidates. A point only punctuated by current City Commissioner Susan Chapman's loss.
We have a very educated electorate, and once you take a position, they want to know where you stand, and if you're not with them, then they'll bring in someone new.
But participation in these municipal elections is notoriously low, says Supervisor of Elections for Sarasota County, Ron Turner.
There are no small elections because these local leaders have a huge impact on our lives, just like our county, state, and federal leaders.
This year was no different for the city of Sarasota and the city of Northport. But on Longboat Key, 2 referendums concerning development on the island brought voters to the polls, with turnout exceeding 50%.
You know, that could be something that is sparking some interest with voters there in particular.
Eric Arroyo, president of Sarasota's Young Republicans, says the general lack of participation is a frustrating trend.
This is your opportunity to make the vote count, because, 50 people, 10 people can make a difference in this election.
Participating in these municipal elections, says Arroyo, can make all the difference.
They affect you immediately, they affect you directly, and they affect you exponentially more than the presidential elections, because these things are happening right in your backyard.
That's why he hopes to see the city of Sarasota move these elections from March to November. It's something commissioners argue could confuse voters and force candidates to raise more money just to stand out. But Arroyo says it would boost voter turnout and drive participation. If
you want a higher voter turnout and you want to be a true democracy and get elected by the most popular candidate of the people, you would move that election to when most people vote.
The supervisor of elections says moving our local elections to November would save money, but commissioners have been reluctant to make the change.
Kate, thanks. We have representatives from both political parties standing by, along with a local government reporter. Our analysis gets underway after the break.
Attention, this is an important message for anyone who has taken Xarelto or Pradaxa. If you or a loved one took the blood thinner medication Xarelto or Pradaxa and was then hospitalized for internal bleeding, you may be entitled to significant compensation. Xarelto and Pradaxa have been linked to serious, even fatal internal bleeding. If you suffered a stroke, heart attack, or serious internal bleeding, or if a loved one died after taking Xarelto or Pradaxa, call us now. Our network of attorneys have years of experience fighting the big pharmaceutical companies and is ready to fight for you. Potential claims are being reviewed for users of Xarelto or Pradaxa who have suffered severe bleeding or hemorrhaging, stroke, or even death. Our network of experienced attorneys is ready to fight for you. You won't pay a thing unless your case is settled. Call today for a free confidential consultation. Don't fight this alone.
Please call 800-928-6604. That is 800-928-6604.
Luxury for less at Alex Karras Lincoln. Drive a brand new 2017 Lincoln MKZ Sports Utility for $249 per month, or a 2017 MKZ for $299 per month. We are proud to introduce the newest addition to the Lincoln lineup, the all-new 2017 Lincoln Continental. We have a great selection and ready for immediate delivery. Alex Karras Lincoln, affordable luxury, winner of the prestigious 2015 President's Award, serving Florida's Suncoast since 1978. We're located 2 miles north of the Sarasota-Bradenton Airport on US 41.
I'm calling in regards about my mother, and I'm here, and I just want to thank you because it saved my mother's life yesterday. And I'd like to know the names of the people that came in and saved her so I could call and thank them. And she's doing fine. It's a wonderful thing. Thank you.
When you fall and cannot get up, an accident can turn into a tragedy. But with Life Alert, one touch of a button can get you help fast. Life Alert saves a person from a catastrophe every 10 minutes.
Life Alert is a lifesaver. If it weren't for Life Alert, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-652-3012. That's 1-800-652-3012. Call now 1-800-652-3012. For a free brochure, call 1-800-652-3012.
Welcome back. The results are in. 2 density requests were turned down on Longboat Key, and there are some fresh faces heading into a runoff for some local commission races. Voters in Longboat Key are keeping incumbent Jack Daly on the town commission. Former Mayor Jim Brown is taking the at-large seat on the commission. And then in the city of Sarasota, voters chose to oust Commissioner Susan Chapman. Now 3 candidates will vie for 2 at-large seats. Former Planning Board member Jen Ahern Koch, attorney Hagan Brody, and business owner Martin Hyde. That runoff will be held in May. And Northport will have its own runoff for an open seat on the city commission. That race will be between Jill Luke and Pete Emmerich. And joining us for more on these results is Kevin Griffith, the vice chair of the Sarasota County Democratic Party. Matt Letelier, I need to ask him about the pronunciation on that, the executive director for the Republican Party of Sarasota, and Zach Murdoch, local government reporter for the Herald Tribune. Now, Matt, correct me on your...
Letler.
Letler. Okay, got it. So let's get started. Just overall takeaways. We'll kind of go down the line here and give some overall takeaways on the elections as far as turnout and just your general impressions.
Well, I think in the city of Sarasota, one thing that stood out was that 2 of the younger candidates won, and that was Jen Ahern Koch and Hagan Brody. Neither had ever held elective office before, but they apparently worked hard, and the voters wanted something different, and they went with the 2 younger voters, candidates.
Yeah, I agree with Kevin there. This was an election where incumbents were just kind of tossed out across the state. There are a lot of municipal elections across the state, and you obviously saw with Chapman getting ousted, which we're very happy about, that this was an election that was going to kick those incumbents out. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens in May when you have 3 brand new people coming up. You actually get into the issues. This isn't like, oh, this is what I care about with Jen or with Hagan or with Martin. That now we got to get into multiple issues, and you'll get to see a lot of meat that people can learn about these candidates.
Well, and the big takeaway for me from last night was that voter turnout, as you reported, was relatively low but kind of average for the city race, and that made for a really tight middle of the pack. Incumbent Susan Chapman was just 52 votes behind Martin Hyde for that 3rd place spot. And even behind her, former Mayor Fred Atkins was only 59 votes behind. It was very compressed in the middle there, which made for a really interesting evening.
I don't know if you thought the same thing, but I felt like we had a lot more attention on these races going into it. So I personally thought our turnout was going to be much higher because there were so many of these candidate forums and people came out for that, yet they didn't seem to come out to vote. Were you all surprised by that?
I'm not surprised by that because we just went through a presidential election. Every 4 years we go through a presidential election. No matter what, people are focused on that. And then 4 months later, you're asking people to return to the polls, return to caring about these city elections. I, for one, want to move these things to November, whether it's November of the same year, off-year election, or figure out a way to put it on to the midterms or the presidential. You'll get more people turning out. People will still care. There'll be undervotes, but you'll have more people turning out and caring about these elections because they're already going to go to the polls for president, for governor, for senate, what have you.
And Kevin, do you agree?
Well,
Would you want to
not
move
taking
them?
a position necessarily on the November or March, because I can take an argument on both sides. But one thing I'd say is kind of touching on what you just said, Haley. It seemed like with 8 candidates in the race and many, many forums, some of which had really high turnout. I know the Sarasota Underground had a huge turnout. We expected higher than average turnout, and actually we did. It was still low overall, but This turnout, this cycle was a bit higher, I think 1% or 2% higher than it was in 2013. So there was a little bit of a higher voter turnout.
19 is still very disappointing for an election like this. This is, 6,000 people essentially deciding for a city that's second largest in the county. That's just upsetting.
But going back to the point with the forums is that this was the only issue they were able to focus on. And this isn't a presidential, then you have Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump sort of sucking the air out of everything. And you have Hagan Brody and Jen Ahern and Martin Hyde way down at the end. And actually the turnout or the results could be skewed by a presidential race.
And yet you'll have people in a presidential race who are showing up at the polls who, while they're waiting in lines, which I don't think there were any lines yesterday. I only visited a couple polling sites. I don't think there were any lines. But they're going to sit in line and they're going to see what they're voting on. They can look at their phone as they're waiting in line to learn about candidates. And I think that the more people that participate in the process, the better.
Okay, when we come back, we're going to talk more about those. There were some moves to try to move these elections that failed, so we'll talk more about that. We're just getting started. We'll be breaking down more of these results right after we check on our chilly forecast.
In the real estate business, trust is important. It's not just about money, it's a place where we live and create memories. Buying a home is such a big investment, you want to find the right one. You don't want to be sold a home, you want someone you can trust to help you find the right home. I am proud to work at an agency where these values matter. I would love to be your realtor. I am Chandra Boone and I'm a proud realtor at SWC Properties.
Check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com for Chef Judy's favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blogs, step-by-step videos, and Suncoast Restaurant Guide. You'll find it all at mysuncoast.com/dining.
Attention blood clot filter patients. Surgically implanted blood clot filters are potentially life-threatening. Some filters are prone to breaking, resulting in pieces of the filter moving through the body and causing internal bleeding. If you had surgery to implant a blood clot filter, you may be entitled to a cash award, even if you haven't suffered side effects yet. Call the Gold Shield Group now, 888-747-5291, to see if you qualify for a cash award, 888-747-5291.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
I owed the IRS $20,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
We saved our home and overcame the most powerful collection agency in the world.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions Now.
Call 800-303-9048, 800-303-9048.
Are you Goodwill?
Yes, because when I donate
or shop at Goodwill,
I am creating a job.
I am Goodwill, yeah.
It is getting a little bit chilly here in Sarasota. The temperatures are dropping. To find out just how cold it's going to get, let's head over to Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan.
Thanks, Haley, and good evening, everyone. Finally, another chance to wear your sweater or jacket tomorrow. And we haven't had many days like this all winter long. Winter officially coming to an end on Monday at 6:29 in the morning, and there hasn't been much of a winter. In fact, this will go down as the fourth warmest winter on record here in Sarasota County, with records being kept over 100 years. Venice, nice shot there. If you get away from the wind, there was plenty of sunshine, but temperatures never warmed up much. Highs were only into the upper 50s today, up and down the coast, at least near the coast. Inland areas got a little warmer. Big chill tonight. We're expecting low temperatures, generally in the low 40s right near the water, upper 30s elsewhere, mid 30s, say, east of I-75. And with a wind out of the north at around 10 miles an hour, we're getting wind chills down in the low to mid 30s. Tomorrow morning, right around 7, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. Sunny, but it will be cool again Thursday. It will be a little bit warmer, still well below average, about 10 degrees below where we normally are. And then a warming trend just in time for the weekend. In fact, St. Patrick's Day looking pretty good. Lots of sunshine. Temperatures getting back into the 70s at least, still a little bit below average. This cold air continues to move on down from the north right now as a result of a large area of high pressure located right over Arkansas and Tennessee, and the winds are rotating around to bring in that northeasterly wind and northwesterly wind becoming northeasterly by Friday. We also have the jet stream very active through the Bahamas right now, and that is what caused all the rough weather for us a couple of days ago. That jet stream really aiding the energy to those storms that produced a couple of tornadoes. Well, the Gulf water temperature continues to drop. It's dropped about 4 degrees since this cold snap. 56 degrees in Mayaca City, 60 in Arcadia, and 51 already in Braden. So temperatures are dropping fast now that sun is getting lower in the sky. 52 degrees current temperature at the Sarasota-Braden Airport. Wind out of the north-northwest at 9. The pressure very high, 30-22. And that continues to rise. Well, there's the high, not much, 58 degrees. 76 is our normal high, and the low this morning was 48. We'll go below that before midnight tonight, and we could use a little bit of rainfall. It's going to stay dry. Unfortunately, we're going to see this high fire danger, which will be with us for the next couple of months. So we really appreciated the rain a couple of days ago. We saw over an inch over most areas, and that has come to an end now. Those winds I mentioned will be gusting anywhere from 10 to 15 miles an hour throughout the morning tomorrow, and that will bring that chilly air our way and keep things very cold in the morning hours. 35, the expected low in Northport, 1 degree warmer in Inglewood, 34 in Mayaca City. You have to go back all the way to January 8th when the temperature was 38 degrees in Sarasota, 40 in Bradenton, and 42 at Longboat Key, Anna Maria at 43. So clear skies tonight, temperatures dropping, and then we'll see highs tomorrow only in the low 60s for the most part, with plenty of sunshine, just a cloud now and again, not much. You can see that from the Futurecast showing clear skies over much of the southeast. Temperatures extremely cold in places like Toronto and Detroit. It doesn't look that cold, but you factor in the wind, and it feels like 8 now in Toronto, 17 in Cleveland, and 10 in Boston, where they're still digging out from that snowstorm. As far as the forecast goes, we are looking for that dry air to stick around and no real threat of any significant rainfall for the upcoming 7 days. Boaters, it's been tough going. Small craft advisory has been lifted, but we'll still see brisk winds out of the northeast at 15 knots tomorrow, subsiding to 10 in the afternoon with a moderate chop in the bays and inland waters. The forecast looks like this for the next 7 days. St. Patrick's Day looks good, 73 for a high, sunshine through the weekend. Should be a gorgeous weekend, and then spring officially arrives on Monday. Haley will be back with the guests right after this. Stick around.
If you've ever had a bad night's sleep, call and price the new Craftmatic Legacy. It has so much more than other adjustables and still costs up to 50% less, featuring a rising adjustable pillow rest to support your head, neck, and shoulders, bedside power plugs, under bed night lights, and more. So call and price one today for less, up to 50% less than Tempur-Pedic, Sleep Number, and other adjustables.
You get so much more and it still costs less. You've got to see how little they cost.
Call 1-800-774-8103. That's 1-800-774-8103. Call now.
Are you paying too much for your cable or satellite TV? The U.S. government passed a bill mandating free over-the-air digital transmission of all broadcast network television channels. That means with the new TV Freeway digital antenna, you can get free HD programming from your favorite broadcast networks 24/7 without a bill. You just plug it into the back of your TV and start watching all of your favorite broadcast programs for free. There are no contracts to sign, no hidden fees, and no monthly fees. Just free HD broadcast TV. Take it with you anywhere. Call or go online now to get your TV Freeway stick for the incredibly low price of only $14.99. But wait, call or click now and you can get a second TV Freeway stick for a second TV. Just pay a separate fee, but you have to order right now.
Call 1-800-809-5196 to get your TV Freeway. Call now or go to tvfreeway.com. So call 1-800-809-5196. This offer's not in any store. Call now.
They're coming from Tampa, Fort Myers, even Orlando. They're coming from everywhere for the Sarasota Ford Promise. Our promise means a new car you'll love. If not, return it for one you do. At Sarasota Ford, we promise live market pricing. We monitor national pricing on our entire inventory, so you get the best deal. In fact, we guarantee it. Bring us any competitor's ad, and we'll beat it by at least $1,000. That's why they're coming from everywhere to Sarasota Ford, where 41 meets 301. SarasotaFord.com.
You only have one life. Are you gambling with it? 1 in 3 adults have high blood pressure. Not knowing your numbers could cause you to lose, big time. Luckily, you can turn the odds in your favor by getting your blood pressure checked today. Don't leave your health to chance. Learn more at heart.org/HPV.
Welcome back. Sarasota County held its municipal elections yesterday. You can find the full results on our website, mysuncoast.com. But here to discuss those results and where we go from here is Kevin Griffith, Vice Chair of the Sarasota County Democratic Party, Matt Lettler, Executive Director for the Republican Party of Sarasota, and Zach Murdoch, Local Government Reporter for the Herald Tribune. Gentlemen, thanks for being with us. We're going to start with Zach and tell us a little bit about that. We had just been discussing the possibility of moving the elections. That was brought up for a vote in Sarasota.
Yeah, a little less than a year ago, we had what must have been about 2 months of discussions about that. Again, I mean, this is a repeat conversation, obviously. And the commission heard hours of testimony about this stuff. There was a Tiger Bay forum about it. It was kind of bandied about again for a few months until the commission ultimately decided they didn't want to move forward with that again and again and again, over and over. And the only way it's come up so far in the race is, Kevin mentioned the Sarasota Underground Forum, and they actually did a little cutesy red light, green light bit, and it turns out that the only candidates who didn't support the move were Jen Ahern-Koch and Susan Chapman, which means that Jen is the only candidate left in our runoff here that wouldn't support a move should that come up again, and I think there's a very real possibility it does when we get new commissioners on the board.
Okay, and we'll talk more about some of the other local races in a second, but I do want to, since you mentioned Susan Chapman, she's been a big name in the news. A lot of people unhappy with some of the things she said or some of the moves she's made. Thoughts on her not being elected?
Well, I can say this. Susan, I thought, touched her, the summary of her time in candidacy on the board with the mailer she sent out. It said she's got guts. And whether you agreed with her or disagreed with her, she stood her ground. And you know, sometimes that's in politics, it's for better or worse. But
because I'm sure some of her constituents liked some of the moves she made, while others did not. But
absolutely, and you know, you're gonna find that in any politician. But you know, Martin Hyde ran a campaign that was originally designed to get Susan Chapman out, and it was successful. This is a win for Martin Hyde and for many of the people in Sarasota, I think, that are celebrating that she is no longer going to be on the commission come May. Moving on to the runoff, I think that you're looking at a situation where people are deciding whether they want Sarasota to remain a city that is dependent upon a season that lasts, 3-4 months, or if this is going to be a city that is vibrant all year round, a la St. Pete, a la Naples. And you're starting to see a move towards that. You mentioned that the two youngest people were elected. This is becoming a younger and younger town. And I think that bodes well, no matter the party, no matter the politics. That's better for the future of Sarasota.
But I'll tell you, people from Sarasota don't want to see themselves as St. Pete or Naples, I can tell you that.
Right, we do hear complaints, about us getting too large, too much development. But let's talk about the role of the parties. This is a nonpartisan election, but the parties do tend to pick a candidate. Some say that they support a certain candidate. Explain that situation.
Well, in this last cycle, the election that we just had in the city of Sarasota, for example, there were 5 registered Democrats. It's a nonpartisan race, but there were 5 registered Democrats of the 8 who ran, or perhaps 6. The Democratic Party has its own internal rules that say whenever there's more than 2 candidates running for one position, they cannot endorse. So we did not participate in this election at all. And frankly, we're proud of, I think, how fair we were for our candidates. We did a good job, and I would say that the candidates would say we did as well, of being neutral in this. Now that we have 2 registered Democrats in a nonpartisan race moving forward, we will educate the voters of Sarasota who the Democrats are. That's basically the role. These candidates already have their own campaigns in place. They've ran for 3 months now or 2 months. They have their own staffs. They've already sent their mail out. They know what they're doing without the party's involvement. But the party will play a role in educating voters in Sarasota who the Democrats are. And Haley, I think that will help boost turnout. And when we talked about turnout, when the parties do get involved, turnout tends to go up.
For the runoff.
Yeah.
And Matt, I know I saw frequently from some of the Republican Party locally was the statement that Martin Hyde is the only Republican running. That was kind of the tagline.
We have the same rules, similar rules in regards to that. And we only had one Republican running in this race. So we got behind him, pushed him over the threshold to get to the third place. And we are going to be playing a role in the next 2 months. I agree that as the parties get involved, you're educating voters. That's all it is. Hey, this guy, Republicans, this guy is a Republican. Get off your rear end. Let's go to the polls. Let's vote for the Republican. You all are going to do the same for the Democrats, and we'll see how it turns out in a couple months. But there's certainly going to be some Republican play in the next couple months.
And Zach, your thoughts on that?
These gentlemen are being very polite about how this is going to play out because ultimately, heading to the runoff, knowing what these two guys just said, this adds a whole new dynamic to this race. We've seen this play out just as recently as late last summer. I mean, it's going to make it a whole new ball game to have these guys throwing in their own voices into a race that so far has been. It's been really loud and kind of chaotic because there have been 8 people. I think we're going to start to see it settle down, and the way they play a role is going to make a big difference in ultimately what happens May 9th.
Okay, so more to come on that, but we have to get to the long vote referendums. There was a big voter turnout for that,
Holy cow.
And they were voted down handedly. So your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't think it's any surprise. We've heard from Longboat Key for a long, long time about density issues. I mean, the colony was soundly defeated. I want to say that vote was like 88% against.
13.
Yes,
yeah,
right.
I mean it was very, very one-sided, and frankly, that's no surprise. I don't think anyone on Longboat Key would have thought otherwise, and they've made a big point of even bringing that argument here to Sarasota that density and changes happening in Sarasota are having a huge effect on the Barrier Island, like the Longboat Key weighing in on the Fruitville Road Diet Plan, for example.
Right.
So.
Right. Okay. Any thoughts on those referendums?
No, Haley, but one thing we haven't talked about is Northport.
Right.
And, just taking a step back, if you look at Sarasota County overall last night, although they're nonpartisan races, the Republican Party didn't have a very good night because if you look down in Northport, the 2 candidates that advanced were the 2 who were not Republicans. And if you look in the city of Sarasota, the 2 of the 3 who advanced were Democrats. So overall, as a Democratic Party, we're happy with the results from last night.
And Matt, your thoughts on the Northport results?
On the Northport, you have Joe Luke, who's non-party businesswoman, incredibly smart. She won. She was high. I don't have the exact vote number in front of me, but she was handily ahead of Pete Emmerich. So we're happy to see that. We're happy to see someone who's a small business person get involved in these races. Martin. Going back to Sarasota and why we're involved is because Martin is a Republican. He's been involved with the party for a while, and we know this person, and we're ready to get them to run. In the years to come, you're going to see the Republican Party in Sarasota get more involved in these municipal races. They haven't in the past. Frankly, the Democrats, this is the municipal are their Hacksaw Ridge. This is their last stand in this county that has gone red and redder and redder and redder these past several campaign cycles.
Okay, I'm going to have to stop you there.
Absolutely.
We do have a few minutes when we come back, and we will take our final thoughts with our guests, plus what some of our viewers are saying about a funding fight in the state capitol when we return.
Tomorrow at 4 on Suncoast View.
I'm Stephanie Roberts on Suncoast View. Scout Molly's brings spring fashion trends, plus empowering young women in court, Suncoast-born comedian and Brasa and Fisco.
Tomorrow at 4 on Suncoast View.
ABC7 News at 7, weeknights.
I'm calling in regards about my mother, and I'm here, and I just want to thank you because it saved my mother's life yesterday. And I'd like to know the names of the people that came in and saved her. It's a wonderful thing. Thank you.
With Life Alert, one touch of a button can get you help fast.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-962-4112. That's 1-800-962-4112. Call now, 1-800-962-4112.
Attention blood clot filter patients. Surgically implanted blood clot filters are potentially life-threatening. Some filters are prone to breaking, resulting in pieces of the filter moving through the body and causing internal bleeding. If you had surgery to implant a blood clot filter, you may be entitled to a cash award, even if you haven't suffered side effects yet. Call the Gold Shield Group now, 888-747-5291, to see if you qualify for a cash award, 888-747-5291.
It's no small wonder anybody loves it all.
I just love art that moves me.
No small,
I mean, really moves me.
one.
Sunset Fiat of Sarasota presents No Small Wonder. High performance style. Let the art of Fiat move you.
Welcome back. Longboat Key has 2 new commissioners. They also voted down 2 density referendums. Runoff elections for commissioners in Sarasota and Northport are scheduled for May. So what can we expect to happen until then? Our guests join us for our final thoughts, and we'll start with Zach. What do you hope people out there watching take away from these elections? They have another chance to vote in May if they forgot to do so yesterday.
Forgot. Yes,
right,
that's
or,
very kind.
Okay,
they
being kind.
Yeah,
right.
They should turn out in May, absolutely, because like we've talked about, there was very low voter turnout, and you know, I focus pretty much exclusively on the city elections Sarasota elections this spring, I mean. And going forward, I think what people need to pay attention to is how the candidates settle into some of the big issues we've talked about, and in very brief spurts with so many candidates previously in the field. You know, we need to hear the candidates speak at length about development, about traffic, about combating homelessness, affordable housing. A lot of those issues that we've only briefly run through so far are going to start to kind of blossom.
And parking meters. I saw some signs regarding parking meters yesterday.
But what hasn't been mentioned is this $200 million deficit that Jen Aaron Coach is not even talking about, that the city is facing. This is a $600 million or $400 million budget that the city has that 600,000 people are voting on. So the things I want to take away is focus on what the city has coming forward, who's going to tackle these issues, and who's just going to pass them down the road. Get out and vote. That is the most important thing across any of these issues. The Longboat Key, Northport, Sarasota, get out and vote. And I really hope that the runoff has a higher turnout than this general. I hope. I don't see it happening. But I think those are the important things that we need to focus on.
Haley, also, you know, go vote. Especially if you're down south part of the county. If you live in Northport and you want a hospital in Northport, or you care about the Atlanta Braves issue, or you care about the Springs issue, go vote. You know, that's your chance in May to have your voice be heard.
Sometimes we don't realize we're voting for, you know, you're just thinking, oh, it's this person on the ballot, but that person will help decide those issues in the future. Absolutely. So as an informed voter, I think you would all say, go out and talk to these candidates.
Absolutely.
Talk to, you know, find out.
Opportunities over the next 9 weeks.
Oh, yeah. And they're the most accessible because they're local candidates. I mean, you can go to any forum and you can get their ear, and they're going to listen to you.
They'll give you their cell phone number, most likely.
Right. They want you to come out and vote, so they are there to answer your questions.
Absolutely.
Well, before we go, we do want to share what some of our viewers are saying about last night's topic, the funding fight between Florida's governor and House Speaker. Last week, the State House voted to eliminate funding for Enterprise Florida, the state's economic development agency, and strip funding from Visit Florida, our tourism marketing agency. Governor Scott is planning to travel the state to advocate for both organizations. Are they corporate welfare or job creators? Here's what some of you are saying. Doreen Starkey writes, corporate welfare. Put that money toward more police and reducing taxpayer money paid for schools. Chris Cole writes, tourism provides much needed jobs. It also provides economic development for our children's future. Visit Florida has always been a well-run organization, and to diminish its importance is simply wrong. And Roger Dresden writes, we don't need any more people here. Stay home and save some money. So what do you think about the results of yesterday's election? You can let us know by visiting our Facebook page, facebook.com/news@7. You can also watch tonight's discussion and past ones. They are available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. Thank you to our guests for being here tonight. Kevin Griffith is Vice Chair of the Sarasota County Democratic Party. Matt Lettler is Executive Director for the Republican Party of Sarasota. And Zach Murdoch covers local government for the Herald Tribune. When we return, we'll have a final look at your forecast. Plus, the threat of Zika persists. Mosquito control experts are warning lawmakers about the returning threat of the virus. Find out what they say could help in our primetime headlines.
Join us for Sarasota Opera's 2017 Winter Festival, opening February 11th. Featuring Puccini's most famous opera, Madame Butterfly, Rossini's delightful comedy, The Italian Girl in Algiers, Poulenc's heartbreaking Dialogues of the Carmelites, and the medieval thriller, The Love of Three Kings by Italo Montemezzi. Tickets are on sale now. Call 941-328-1300 or visit sarasotaopera.org.
Attention sleep apnea sufferers. If you use CPAP therapy, if you have private insurance, or you're on a Medicare replacement plan, we may be able to help you get your CPAP supplies at little or no cost to you and free shipping. Most insurance companies allow a patient to get a new CPAP mask, cushion, filter, and tubing every 3 to 6 months to prevent respiratory infection and skin sores.
That's why you should call Americare CPAP. Call 800-423-5457. That's 800-423-5457.
Attention small business owners. Penn Funding announces the easiest and fastest business funding program, the Platinum Business Account.
We needed cash fast. Business is good, but this is an emergency. We needed some new equipment, and the banks wouldn't help us.
At Penn Funding, we like to say, yes, you're approved. With your Platinum Business Account, you could qualify for up to $50,000 or more. This amazing new business account funding program is so effective, you could have the cash you need in just days.
I called, spoke with an agent who pre-qualified us, and connected me.
Call now for your Platinum Business Account. If you've been in business for at least 6 months, you could qualify for up to $50,000 or more in just days.
I called Penn Funding and had my money fast.
Need cash for your business? Call Penn Funding now.
Call 800-658-3433. 800-658-3433.
Your primetime headlines are coming up in just a moment, but right now let's get a check on the cold weather making its way into the Suncoast with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan.
Thanks, Haley. Here's a look at a nice photo that was sent in from Karen Hastings. Get a look at these sandhill cranes making their way through the parking lot at the Sarasota Square Mall today. A family of sandhill cranes. You can see right where it says family, those two little ones right there moving on through. Maybe they're looking to do some shopping. I don't know. Our actual ospreys, we haven't seen anything yet, so we're still waiting for Sarah to produce an egg. That hasn't happened quite yet. We're hoping it does, but it may be a little bit too late now, so we'll keep an eye on that for you as well. Well, that snowstorm that was around yesterday is winding down over the northeast. You can still see some snow showers occurring on the back side of that area of low pressure. That's the same storm system that brought us all the severe weather on Monday night. And that front now well down to our south. The cold air continues to funnel southward, and we're going to see temperatures pretty chilly to start the day off tomorrow morning. There's no freeze warning for us, no frost either, because the winds will be up past 5 miles an hour, and that does not allow the frost to form. There is a wind chill advisory, interesting to note, south of our area. They'll be in the wind a little longer and a little stronger. That's why the small craft advisory is up there, but still, that may be reissued for us later. If the winds really turn out of the north, we'll get colder temperatures. Right now, they're a bit out of the west-northwest, but we are expecting them to turn more northerly in time, and that will usher in some of the coldest air of the winter season, which is soon to come to an end on Monday morning. Well, as far as the current conditions go, 52 degrees at Sarasota Braden Airport, 56 now in Venice. Braden not reporting right now, but they are looking at 54 at the Braden Country Club, 54 as well into Bradenton, 53 degrees in Kensington Park, and 55 now in Osprey. Temperature in South Sarasota County, Northport now at 55, and Rotunda the same. The high tomorrow will be below average. It'll be a little warmer than it was today, but still on the cool side in the low 60s. The normal high at 76 degrees. The wind flow will stay out of the north throughout the day on Thursday. That will keep the cool temperatures around. And tomorrow night, another chilly night. Low temperatures expected into the low 40s to mid 40s. Still well below that seasonal averages. By Friday, we start to warm up, though. Friday afternoon, we'll be back into the low 70s up and down the coast. They're really warm in Denver right now. Look at that, 76 degrees. It's 38, though, to the east of that into St. Louis now, 28 in Cleveland. For beach and boating tomorrow, winds out of the northeast at 15 knots. Seas will be 2 to 4 feet with a moderate chop out there. Tides upcoming, low tide at 10:04 and high tide at 3:34. Sunrise at 7:39. The forecast for tonight, bundle up, wind chills in the low 30s by sunrise. Actual low right around 38 degrees. And then the extended forecast shapes up to be really dry but nice on St. Patrick's Day. 73, mid-70s on Saturday and Sunday. And the rest of the work week looking pretty good out ahead. Haley will be right back after this.
Is debt beating you down? You need discipline. You need
the Debt Ninja. If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS, you could be facing wage garnishments, levies, liens, property seizure, cancellation of business license, closure of business. The Debt Ninja fights your IRS debt. That's why you need the Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja has found the best companies in the country who are on your side to fight debt. Want to learn if you qualify for the IRS Financial Hardship Program? Stop the IRS from garnishing your wages. Even if your bank account has been seized, if you have undeclared taxes, if you have existing IRS debt, it's not too late to call, so grab your phone now. Call the Debt Ninja at 800-945-0083. That's 800-945-0083. Settle your IRS debt to get the power of the Debt Ninja. Dial this number now, 800-945-0083.
If you've ever had a bad night's sleep, call and price the new Craftmatic Legacy. It has so much more than other adjustables and still costs up to 50% less. Featuring a rising adjustable pillow rest to support your head, neck, and shoulders, bedside power plugs, under-bed night lights, and more. So call and price one today for less, up to 50% less than Tempur-Pedic, Sleep Number, and other adjustables.
You get so much more and it still costs less. You've got to see how little they cost.
Call 1-800-774-8103. That's 1-800-774-8103. Call now.
Attention, this is an important message for anyone who has taken Xarelto or Pradaxa. If you or a loved one took the blood thinner medication Xarelto or Pradaxa and was then hospitalized for internal bleeding, you may be entitled to significant compensation. Xarelto and Pradaxa have been linked to serious, even fatal internal bleeding. If you suffered a stroke, heart attack, or serious internal bleeding, or if a loved one died after taking Xarelto or Pradaxa, call us now. Our network of attorneys have years of experience fighting the big pharmaceutical companies and is ready to fight for you. Potential claims are being reviewed for users of Xarelto or Pradaxa who have suffered severe bleeding or hemorrhaging, stroke, or even death. Our network of experienced attorneys is ready to fight for you. You won't pay a thing unless your case is settled. Call today for a free confidential consultation. Don't fight this alone.
Please call 800-928-6604. That is 800-928-6604.
Now for your primetime headlines, new information is out tonight regarding President Trump's claims he was wiretapped by President Obama. This comes as 2 pages of Trump's tax returns are now out in the open. ABC's Stephanie Ramos has the latest from Washington.
Leaders of the House Intelligence Committee say there is no evidence President Trump was ever wiretapped.
I don't think there was an actual tap of Trump Tower.
The top Democrat on the committee called for President Trump to officially retract his statement that former President Obama had Trump Tower wiretapped.
It deeply concerns me that the president would make such an accusation without basis.
And the Republican chairman, Devin Nunes, says perhaps Trump's tweets should not be taken literally.
Are you going to take the tweets literally? And if you are, then clearly the president was wrong.
Meanwhile, 2 pages of Trump's income taxes from more than a decade ago are out after the president spent the last year during the campaign refusing to release them. Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist David K. Johnston says he received the 2-page tax summary of the president's 2005 in the mail anonymously and then released them. It shows an income of nearly $153 million. Trump ended up paying $38 million in federal taxes. His tax rate, about 25%. And Trump declared $103 million in losses. Democrats still want the president to release his full tax returns like other presidents since Nixon.
They were just merely a little, as we say in Minnesota, a cocktail weenie appetizer, right? It was just a tiny, tiny piece of what we want to see.
And we're also hearing from Attorney General Jeff Sessions on these wiretapping claims. He says as the nation's top law enforcement official, he never indicated to the president that President Obama had him wiretapped. Stephanie Ramos, ABC News, Washington.
Millions of Americans along the East Coast are digging out today after a powerful nor'easter dumped as much as 3 feet of snow in some places. Bitter cold is making the cleanup difficult. Freezing temperatures are turning piles of snow into solid rock. And moving around is a challenge as well, with roads and sidewalks coated in a layer of ice. Many schools are closed for a second day, and at the airports, more than 1,000 flights have been canceled. The blizzard is bringing near hurricane-force winds, knocking out power to 250,000 people. A giant oak was seen crashing into one New Jersey home.
It sounded like a bomb went off, like something blew up. When my hand stopped shaking, I just called the police.
Currently, there are no delays or cancellations at the Sarasota-Bradenton International Airport. Now to an update on the Zika virus. Mosquito control officials from across Florida are in Tallahassee today asking lawmakers for more funding. Under the current state budget, $2.6 million is set aside for control and research efforts. Mosquito control is asking for $1.2 million more next year. They say without more funding, tourism could take a hit.
We don't know where Zika might end up this year. Last year was in the Miami area. This year we don't know where it's going, and we have to be prepared. We can't sit and wait for it to happen. We can't be reactive to this.
Florida had 279 locally acquired cases of Zika last year, in addition to nearly 1,100 travel-related cases. Only one locally acquired infection has been reported so far this year. Meanwhile, Florida's Senate is approving a bill shifting the burden of proof in stand your ground cases from defendants to prosecutors. While there is support for the measure, some lawmakers say the current standards should not be changed.
This bill goes in the direction that it needs to go to assure that our citizens in the state of Florida who are faced with a circumstance where they have to defend themselves don't have to prove that they were defending themselves, that burden is on the state.
The prosecutor is put in the position of having to prove a negative. That's a very difficult proposition, regardless of the issue.
The House version of the bill is still in committee. Now to an update on the trial of the Fort Lauderdale airport shooter. Federal prosecutors are beginning the process to seek the death penalty. At a hearing today, prosecutors said they are months away from being able to seek capital punishment for Esteban Santiago. He is accused of killing 5 and wounding 6 others at the Fort Lauderdale airport in January. His trial is currently set for October 2nd. Santiago is pleading not guilty to 22 counts against him. That's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Haley Wilgus. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here at 11.